stay strong, stay safe, and stay metal, because eventually this is all going to go down. We're all going to go back to normal, and then we'll have what we miss the most in our lives back again: live shows.
Hello, you metal pilgrims, and a very special welcome to all of the HammerFall fans on the show. For today, I am more than happy to welcome the band's founder and guitarist, Oscar Dronjak. First of all, Oscar, thank you so much for finding time and joining us today. How are you, man?
No problem at all. I'm really happy to be here. I'm very good, despite the circumstances. We had a weird weekend weather-wise, but now it's snowing, so I'm happy again.
That's good. Man, before we talk about anything else, and of course, including Hammer of Dawn, on behalf of all of our community, I wanted to wish you a belated happy birthday. You just turned 50 a couple of days ago. So hope the next year is going to be much better for you even than this one.
Thank you very much. It can only go upwards from here.
I hope so, right? How was the celebration? Did you have a good time with the family?
No, well, yeah, I did. The celebration was not really a celebration. We just hung out at home. Okay. What else are you going to do? Just there was nothing going on. I mean, we're the restrictions and everything. You can't have a party. You can't go out and whatever. It's not, and it was not a big deal because this was really what I would have wanted to do anyway. Just hang with my family. Enjoy my time with them, because that's what I love the most.
That's good. Did the HammerFall guys show up, or they're not allowed as well?
No, they didn't show up. We live in different cities. Three of them live in Stockholm, and then there are two of us down here. But there was no celebration at all, actually. So.
Okay, but once again, on behalf of all the metal pilgrims, happy birthday, man! Wish you all the best, and hope to.
Thank you so much.
On the road once again for all of this stuff to be over, and
that's what we're all hoping for. Right.
Exactly. Now, going to the big news about HammerFall, that being, of course, the release of your 12th studio album already.
Yes, that's correct.
I remember your debut, and I loved it back then, and I cannot believe it's the 12th one already.
No, me neither.
Yeah, in just a couple of weeks, right? And then I was able to listen to the album a bit earlier than, most of other mortal human beings on this earth. And I got to say, I loved it. I think it's one of the strongest records HammerFall have put out so far.
Thank you.
And, So, and one thing which struck me, maybe the most, is that it sounds, it has this mixture. It sounds very old school, yet at the same time, it's very, very modern sounding like a record, right? And especially on the guitar front, with the galloping, some of the gallopings being reinvented, and sounding fresh and stuff like that. So what did you guys do differently? I mean, if anything this time, and has it been a plan to achieve a sound like this in the first place?
No, we didn't really do anything differently. Some things, some parts, some details, or things were, of course, due to COVID. Mm-hmm. It made us have to rethink some things, but for the most part, we just keep them going. I started writing songs for this album in 2018 already.
Oh, really?
Yeah, even before we had recorded Dominion, to be honest. Because I was just on a roll back then. I felt good about writing songs. I just wanted to keep going while I had inspiration. So I wrote, for example, Brotherhood is written, the music part is written on the road in Cleveland, on the US tour, or the North American tour we did with Floss and Jetsam as a special guest back in 2018, the summer of 18. And that song was because you know how it is when you write. When I start a session in this, because I write on the computer, right? So I have to save it. I have to save it and name it something. And in the beginning, I usually don't have the title for the song, so I just name it whatever, and then here we go. And that one, because we were in Cleveland when I began that song, it was called "Hello Cleveland" for a long time. And if you've ever seen Spinal Tap, you know why this is funny.
That's my favorite movement.
Yeah, it's such a great movie, and we all love it too. So, and it was called that for the longest time because we couldn't find a proper name for it. It took. I don't know when probably like early last year or something, like right before we started recording, it got its proper name, I think, with his Brotherhood. Anyway, we were never going to call it Hello Cleveland, but we couldn't find the, I mean, that would have been,
single, I would get 10 copies.
Yeah. Okay. That would have made it a joke though. And I don't like, I heavy metal is too serious for me to joke about in that respect, in that way. You know, I don't want to. A song is important to me, and if I try to laugh it off, it's not as important anymore. I mean, I love to laugh, I love to have fun, but not with the music that I write.
I agree with you. I mean, one thing is to laugh at the lifestyle and at certain behavior. You know how, remember, I don't know if you read that very old interview by Rob Halford and how him and Glenn Tipton first saw Spinal Tap and they thought, that it's the best movie.
It's about us. Yeah.
It's very true.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's the thing. One thing you love about lifestyle and everything, but when it comes to music, it has to be, what you're giving your soul to it, right? You don't want to.
Yeah, I mean, I don't say that everybody has to think this way. This is how I think, and that's all that matters to me. So I don't want to make a joke out of something that I invest my whole life in, basically.
That's really interesting. And speaking about Brotherhood, I'll be honest with you, despite this album being a very, very consistent album, right? I think it's very, every song is on par there, but Brotherhood is the song which stuck out for me personally. And I'm actually very happy you guys didn't include it on Dominion. And don't take it wrong, I love Dominion. I think it's a great record, but this one to me personally sounds a little bit more, like a classic heavy metal record, which I grew up, heavy metal like I grew up on.
Yeah.
This is something I feel like it fits here much better.
Yeah, I'm very, very happy to hear you say that, because that's the way I felt as well. When I actually had wrote it, I knew that, sometimes you can just tell this is a special song. Like everything about this song is good. So it's going to be great when Joachim adds his touch on it as well at the end. And I had this feeling from day one. I knew this was going to be something that sort of deserved its own place. So because this was at the tail end of the songwriting for Dominion, I didn't have that many songs left. We already had the singles were decided, whatever we're going to do with the song. So if I put Brotherhood on Dominion, it would just disappear. It would just be like another song on the album that wouldn't get any recognition. And I felt this song is so strong that it needs a proper space, which it would get if I saved it for the next album. And when I played it for Joachim, he just immediately went, yes, this is probably the opening track on the album, right? That's what I was thinking too. So it was just no question really about that. So that was a correct decision on my part. There's no question. Because now it gets to shine, really,
Exactly. It's very much of a standout track, and I'm looking forward. Maybe you guys can open, the entire set list on a future tour with it. It would be
not out of the question. Absolutely not out of the question.
All right, that's good. I assume that still, even though you started writing these songs in 2018. Most of it has been finalized, at least, right, during the pandemic time. And of course, right after the Dominion tour, you actually didn't finish the Dominion tour. You had one more show in Kyiv, Ukraine, in my hometown.
We had we did have to postpone and cancel a couple of shows, and then of course the summer was all gone, and then the festival. And I mean we had a tour in North America planned for the end of 2020 as well, which was also had to be canceled. And then of course, you know what happened. 21 came, and then everybody was maybe it's not. We're not over yet. Okay, but now I really my fingers are crossed so hard now that this will be like the Omicron is terrible right now. It's devastating everything, but it's also a milder symptoms of it across the board. I mean, not everybody. People are still dying, of course. But my hope is that this is the last big wave of COVID, of the pandemic, so that now things can start opening up a little bit more. Things like the next variant of the virus may probably be even less lethal and stuff. I mean, for example, Denmark, I think from today, Denmark downgraded COVID from a socially hazardous or whatever, there's some sort of label on it, like that it wreaks havoc on society, and they downgraded that from that to more like a flu kind of thing.
Exactly. I think we all get back eventually, to it as a seasonal thing, like a flu again, as you said, right? We know it comes in winter usually, and you get your shot. Hopefully everyone, and I don't want to, dive too deeper into it, but guys, let's all do our part and, be smart about it and do whatever we need to do to stop this thing, because I really want to go and see HammerFall live.
Yeah, I would really like to be able to stand on the stage again.
Exactly.
I can't wait. When it's at the end of February, it's going to be 2 years since we were on stage last, which is fucking unbelievable. If you think about it, we have never had that long of an involuntary break before. I mean, I broke my arm in 2003. We had to take a long time off, but we want to be on stage. We had momentum when the pandemic hit. We were just finishing the tour, and then we were going to do whatever stuff at the summer and everything. And we had been building this momentum for a while now. It felt like everybody felt really good. And then sort of the rug gets pulled out from under you. You can't really do anything about it.
Exactly.
Like, I mean, everybody's in the same boat. It's the same thing for every band. So I'm not complaining. I'm just saying it's frustrating. You know, it's frustrating as hell.
It is absolutely, man. But how do you think, if in any way at all, of course, did the pandemic affect the mood and the sound of this album? Did it at all, or not really?
I don't think the sound very much. At least not the songwriting or part of it. For example, like once the pandemic started, I had quite a bit. I think half the album, I think, was already in place for me, like the instrumental versions, parts of it, you know. So the rest of the stuff, like Venerate Me, for example, it's a song I wrote completely here. And I'm right now in the studio in Castle Black Studios, where we are recording our album. Everything except for the vocals is done here. And I remember that was hard. Like normally you can go for a while, you have inspiration, you go in, you feel creative, and that can last for weeks on end if you're lucky. You know, you may not do great things every day, but you're always thinking and things are just rolling. Yeah. And for this part, this was like, let's say, the fall of 2020, this around this time. That's when we realized, okay, we haven't done any shows in like 6 months or whatever. There is nothing, like no end in sight of the pandemic, because then people were starting to hope, and then everything shut down again. So it was just really hard to find the inspiration. And even if I tried, I went out here a lot of times, and I just nothing's going to happen today. I'm not doing it. I mean, I just tried, and you didn't have the energy to do anything really. But Venerate Me came about, and because you have peaks, and that was one peak really quick, and then it went down. But I managed to finish that song in just about a day or so, which is quite unusual for me. It doesn't happen that fast usually. So it was Venerate Me. I'm very happy with. I'm very proud of, because that came at a dark moment in the inspiration time, you know, in the creativity.
And it is a little bit like, it has this darker undertone in terms of sound, I'd say. Mm-hmm. Some would say, especially again on the gallop in this part. You know, it's it's slightly darker one. And
just going to contrast that with Too Old to Die Young, for example, which is a very melodic and happy song.
Yes.
But that song was also written in the pandemic times, like a couple of months before this. This is when I still was happy and still was, because the thing is, this was like the summer of 2020 or so, thereabouts. Mm-hmm. And even though all the festivals got canceled and postponed and everything, that was the first summer I got to spend uninterrupted with my family in I don't know when, you know, that I didn't have to go next weekend, or I could, we could go. Yeah, we bought a caravan last year, a trailer, you know, you put behind your car you live in, and we could go anywhere where we wanted with this. We didn't go so much. No, sorry, I'm a year. Sorry, that's wrong. This was last year. You know, the fucking pandemic feels
years
like
are being mixed up. It's like 2 years disappeared, right?
Yeah, exactly. So I'm talking about 2020 now. We didn't have a caravan there, but at least I got to be home and you know, just to enjoy a Swedish summer that I didn't have to leave. And so that was the wave I was riding on when I wrote that song. So I was in a good place then. Mm-hmm. And then came Venerate Me, which was a not so happy place. So that's probably why it sounds the way it does, I guess.
But it's really interesting how both of those songs were written during roughly the same time, right? And how was it working? Because for those of you who haven't heard it yet, it is the only song. Oh no, it was released as a single. So everyone,
yes, it's out now,
right? So it is the song with the guest vocalist and nobody else but King Diamond. You know, it's not like a regular dude.
No, exactly.
So how was it working with him? Whose idea was it?
Well, so this first of all, I got to preface this by saying it's a cameo. It's not like a duet or anything. He just jumps in at the end of the song, does his fantastic thing, and then it's out again. So that's what it is basically. But well, you can see what I'm wearing right now. You know, it's a dream come true. Dream come true to have King Diamond on the album, even though it's a really short part. We were just, the thing is, when I wrote this song, I thought about that part. Oh yeah, this is how Merciful Fate or King Diamond would have done it if they wrote this part like that. So I thought at the back of my head, and it's cool. I'm gonna do that. Then flash forward to the recording. We were recording the guitars. And I mentioned to Pontus and Fredrik, who was sitting there, and we were recording together. And I said, "Oh, how cool would it be if King Diamond sung that?" Yeah, right. That's never going to happen, right? And then Pontus said, "Well, I'm sure if I ask him, I'm sure he'll do it. You know, I was like, what? Is it? You mean there's a chance? And because Pontus knows King from before, Pontus is also a sound engineer, so he's been touring with King Diamond for many years now, so several years at least. So he's got to know him fairly well, and so he just asked him if he wanted to do this, and we sent over the part that and what we wanted him to do, or how we envisioned it to be. And then he had a couple of months to work on it, which means that he because he said yes right away. That was the most amazing thing. He said, yes, of course I will. I was like, this is not happening. This can't be happening. But you know how it is. People say yes all the time, and you never know if it's gonna end up being that way. We've had these things many times in the past. So I didn't want to get my hopes up really. So but when the closer we got, because this was like in April or something, and the deadline, like the mix was not being delivered to the end of September, so we had a long time over the summer to get stuff done. And of course, when you have a long time, that's so far in the future, we don't have to worry about that now. Nothing happened, of course. That we didn't remind him or talk to him, or really it's like it was nothing. But at the end, it was like, is he really gonna do it still? Because we need the files now. We're getting close to the end here. So Pontus called him up, and then I talked to him as well, which is really cool. Talking to your like a person you've been listening to since you were a kid, basically, is quite it's daunting. It's weird in a way, but it's King is such a nice guy to talk to, and he's Danish, so we're Sweden, Denmark close. Yeah. It's quite we have the connection there. So finally, he sent us over the files during the mix, and he was very particular, like because he knew what he was going to do, but he wanted to know what type, or he wanted to have a say in what type of effects we used. He wanted to have like a final say in how the actual mix sounded before, like, because he was like, no, these are not criticism in any way. I totally understand.
No, it's great. I think it's professional. It's just a sign of, he's put in his name, he's signed it, right? So he wants to
exactly.
It's up to him.
For him, his voice is his trademark, right? Yeah. That's what everybody recognizes him with, and of course the makeup and everything. But the voice is so special. Like nobody, like if you hear this song, you know King Diamond, but you don't know he's going to appear in this song. You hear the song, Venerate Me. It's like, fuck, this is King Diamond. There's no question, right? You absolutely know it right away.
That's what actually happened to me. Like
that's cool.
I just saw you guys release it. I received an album from the label, and I was listening to it. And I was like, what a flip! It's like, oh, seriously?
Especially the way he goes up at the end, like nobody else does that.
Yeah.
So he was very particular that he wanted this to represent King Diamond. Because that's what it was. Like if he's going to do something, he wants it to sound the way he wants it to sound. And for us, we didn't care. I mean, all the things he came up with were just small details that didn't change anything in the overall sound for us. But for him, it was really big difference, So we were satisfied. We just wanted to make him happy, It didn't matter to us. He was on the album. We had his voice. We could mix it however he wanted. So finally, we got something that he was happy with, that we were happy with, and that's it. And that was the final thing. If I remember correctly, that was the absolute final thing we did before the mixing was all done.
This is insane. This is absolutely insane. And but I think it's a great song. And again, it is slightly different from some other ones, because this album is a little bit of a roller coaster, even though it's very, as I said, it's very coherent, it's very cohesive at the same time, right? But at the same time, it is a roller coaster, an emotional one, right? You have Happy Song, you have Venerate Me, and then they all go.
Yeah, that's something I'm really proud of this album, that we managed to do 10 songs that all add to the whole in a very important way. So if you take one away, the whole is not going to sound the same. It's going to be very different. Yes. And even though all of the songs, I mean, I have favorites or songs that I think, oh, this one turned out really well. This one was good. It's not as good as I hoped, but it's not terrible. I mean, if I thought it was terrible, it would not be on the album. But it still feels an important role on the album. And that's what I think we managed really to make a complete album with this one. I'm very proud of that fact, actually.
This is cool. And speaking about favorite songs, is there one song you cannot wait to play live? I assume you just cannot wait to play live at this point.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's more like it. No, yeah. When I write songs, and this has been the same since like before HammerFall, even like for 30 years for me. When I write a song, I always envision or have it in the back of my head. How would this sound live? Could we do this live? How would it be? How would it be in a live setting? Because that's always been really important to me. That it should be organic in the way that when we play live, we have some backup vocals and stuff, and maybe keyboards for an intro or on tape. We let those roll in the together with the music, but all the guitars, everything else you hear, that's just us. That's really important for me. That's rock and roll to put it that way. And that's the way it's supposed to be. And I always had that angle. And because of that, it's also very important that how the songs will sound live, like how they will sound live. So I always figure that in the back of my head. But also at this point, I know that we're not going to be able to play even half of the songs live, probably, because of, we can't just oust all the old ones and put a new album in. It doesn't work that way, even as much as I would like to sometimes, but so we're going to play maybe 4 or 5 songs. Usually that's the usual ratio. And I think we're kind of like, it's kind of we haven't even discussed this yet, but it's kind of I think we're going to agree fairly quickly which songs is going to be included. So we'll see about that. But but I would love to hear the Brotherhood. It's going to be very special if we play it live. I mean, that's going to be, it's just such a, the song has just got all these, it's such a high tempo. It's the fastest song in the album, which I regret when we recorded the twin solo in the middle. Fuck, it's really hard. Another song I'm really looking forward to actually is Hammer of Dawn, the title track. Because when I wrote that, I was just, this is going to go down a storm live when we do this, when people can chant along and everything, when they heard it for a while.
Yeah, chant along one. That's cool. I mean, hopefully you guys will be able to hit the road together with Halloween, right? I'm set actually to see you in a couple of months, but I'm not sure if this is actually even going to happen. Who freaking knows?
Yeah, who knows? Right now we haven't. I mean, right now nothing is canceled or postponed officially, but it doesn't look good for some of the places. So I don't know what's going to happen. To be honest with you, it's very, very frustrating, because if they would have said we're not going to be able to tour until the fall, let's say that, then I wouldn't have gotten my hopes up now. And everybody in the band was like, yes, hopefully. And now the Omicron hit, the wave, and then. How is this going to affect, Germany, for example, which is a big part of the tour, big places. They all have, I don't know what the restrictions are right now, but for not too long ago, they had 30 or 50% capacity only for places. In Sweden, in Sweden, you can't be more than 100, or I think, or something. It's really low here. So I'm not optimistic. I usually am an optimistic guy, but it doesn't look great for much of the tour. So we'll see what happens. Fingers crossed. Eventually, it will happen. Whether it's now or later, it will happen for sure.
Of course. And everyone, I think all of the metal communities waiting at this point for all of their favorite bands to come back, because I always say that I believe that rock and roll and heavy metal live in sweaty clubs and on festivals rather than online. And
yeah, absolutely. That's the reason we haven't done any live streaming either, or part of the reason, because you can't do a proper heavy metal show without the fans. It's impossible.
I mean, and since you started talking about Merciful Fate and Diamond, and and your stuff actually before Halloween, right? I've always wondered, because you as a musician, of course, have been associated with HammerFall for a very long time now, right? 20-something years now, almost 30.
Yes, it's 25 years since the first album came out, if you can believe that.
Congrats.
Yeah. Thank you.
Half of your lifetime, actually.
Yeah, more than half of mine now.
That's but you've also, of course, been a part of other projects, including Ceremonial Oath, which is very short-lived, but at the same time very influential in the world of metal. So who have been your different projects that you've been participating in? Who have been your personal metal or rock and roll heroes? And
a bunch of artists. This one not absolutely part of it. King Diamond as well, of course. If you listen to the sound of HammerFall, Wolf Hoffman from Accept, or Accept in general, has been a major influence. Same as Judas Priest. You can't have a heavy metal band that aren't influenced by Judas Priest. I mean, they've been going for 50 fucking years. It's ridiculous. It's really ridiculous when you think of it. But so it's, of course, those, and a lot of German, not so famous bands like Stormwitch, for example. They were famous in a small area of south of Germany, and not so much outside. But they have done some amazing stuff. Bunch of, I mean, Halloween, obviously, Iron Maiden. You can name billions of other things. As far as like Slayer, for example, has been influential on me, very influential on me as a guitar player and the songwriter, the way they structured their songs, which in turn was very influenced by Judas Priest. So, you know, there's always goes down.
Again, Judas Priest, my favorite band of all time, and I think it's no secret for anyone who is...
I see the album in the background.
It's from the previous episode we've been recording.
All right, cool. But I got to mention one person more, because the one that had the single person that has had the most influence on my life, really. And I'm not just talking about music, but also the part of it. But it's Dee Snider from Twisted Sister. There's no question. His songs or the lyrics to his songs have had such an impact on me. I discovered them when I was just turning a teenager, like 12 or something like that. And I realized that whatever he sings about, not in all the songs, but he's got some certain songs that says, live your life the way you want it, according to your rules, because nobody else is going to give a shit about making you happy. And that's how I've lived my life according to those rules ever since then.
And I think this is rock and roll, right? I mean,
that's the heavy metal spirit for you, in my opinion.
The essence of it.
Exactly.
Well, Oscar, I could continue talking for hours and hours with you, man. But I know you're pretty busy with everything going on around the world. So thank you so much, for joining us today. It's been a pleasure. Any last message for the fans, both old, new, everyone around?
No, thank you so much for having me. It's been a true pleasure. I really, really enjoyed this. I can talk about this for ages as well. So just for everybody listening or watching, rather, stay strong, stay safe, and stay metal, because eventually this is all going to go down. We're all going to go back to normal, and then we'll have what we miss the most in our lives back again, live shows. So that's all I can say. Stay positive. Take care of yourselves, and then we'll get out of this. And then we'll be back on stage. We'll be back together with you guys.
Thank you so much, Oscar Dronjak of HammerFall, everyone. Thank you so much, man. Keep rocking.
Yeah, you too. Take care, man.